The final presidential debate of 2020 is now in the books, and it was a much more substantive and restrained exchange between the candidates. And Fox 5 political analyst Carl Luna is here tonight to talk about what was said. Carl, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kathleen.
Always good to get your input. Your biggest takeaways from tonight?
It was a much more, as you said, civil debate. There was actually some policy talked about. The threat of turning off mics and all kept people from interrupting, and this probably helped President Trump, saved him from his more combative self, which probably helped him to look a little bit better to maybe some independents out there. He was a lot more subdued and more genteel in his last debate with Hillary Clinton, and that helped him then. Maybe it'll help him now.
With only about 11 days to go, will it make a difference?
That's the big question, Kathleen. We got 45, 50 million votes already cast. This is a very polarized society. The number of independents in the middle is limited. What you're playing for is the margins. For Donald Trump, particularly issues like immigration, Black Lives Matter, criminal incarcerations, he was appealing to try to get more of the Hispanic vote, the African American vote in Florida, maybe pick up some votes in Texas. It's the swing state margins that both were swinging for tonight.
Well, a lot of ground, as you mentioned, was covered tonight. One of the new topics that was broached centered on China, and a new report that came out claiming the president has a private bank account there, and the president countered, accusing Joe Biden of business dealings there. Let's listen to this and talk about it on the other side.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever.
I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know, maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about?
Your reaction to that exchange?
Well, I think for most Americans, Kathleen, they're saying, what about COVID? What about the economy? They don't care as much about China. What you saw was Joe Biden going after Donald Trump on issues like his finances and taxes. The Trump supporters say, well, he's a businessman. We should applaud that. His detractors say he must be hiding money, but that hasn't brought the president down particularly. Meanwhile, Trump keeps on trying to level accusations of fraud against the Biden family. None of that seems to stick. One interesting thing, Joe Biden is doing better with non-college educated working class whites. I think maybe that idea of having a rich guy in the White House may not be resonating as well with that portion of the population as it did in 2016.
Well, a topic of particular importance here being a border city, the issue of child separations and immigration policy came up. There was another memorable exchange. Let's take a listen.
We did not.
They built the cages. Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what we're talking about. Who built the cages, Joe? Let's talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you about
I will say this. They went down. We brought reporters, everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some of them haven't been reunited with
But just ask one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask.
Will this resonate with San Diego voters? I know 500,000 have already cast their ballots at least. What are your thoughts?
Well, what the president was trying to point out is the Obama administration did not have a sterling record on immigration and immigration reform, something many in the Hispanic community wanted to see them really tackle, and they didn't. You're getting lost in the weeds about who built the cages. The fact is the Trump administration has been harsher with parent separation. For upper middle class, the Latino voters across America, Trump seems to be doing better than he did in 2016. The question is, will that be enough to swing some different states? In San Diego, being so close to the border and the real issues of this child separation, I don't think that approach would help the president in this area.
And those perhaps down ballot who are supporters of President Trump remains to be seen. Our Carl Luna tonight, thank you for analyzing what was the final presidential debate of 2020.
Thank you, Kathleen.